It's a totally false story. I'm the president of the United States. I say suckers and losers. They gave their life. It's just a disgraceful story, Shawn, and all I do is deny it.
There's been multiple times where the media has misconstrued some of the things that you say about veterans, the latest being supposedly you calling wounded veterans that have been shot or wounded suckers and losers.
Yeah. A made-up story. It was made up by a magazine. And I think it was The Atlantic, which is a radical left magazine. And as soon as I heard it, I said, that's a terrible thing, and you don't get rid of it. You know, they make these things and they just use it, the opposing side. They know it's false. I had 26 people that said it never happened. Who would say it? Who would say it? Nobody would say it. A stupid person or a person that's mentally ill. And, you know, as you know better than anybody, I rebuilt our military. We gave $86 billion, $85 billion of it away to Afghanistan so stupidly, but far bigger than even that. I rebuilt our military. I had the best relationship with the military of any president and respect the military more than anybody. And they just made up this horrible quote. I was in this massive rainstorm, massive, and I was supposed to take helicopters to a certain place in Paris. A little complicated. I don't want to be too complicated. And the helicopters weren't able to fly. They were military helicopters, our helicopters. And I looked at it, I said, I'm not going to be able to fly. So I wanted to drive. By the time we realized we had to drive, it was very late. And everybody talked me out of going. And all of a sudden, and it was a mistake, I wanted to go. And somebody made up the story that I said that. And I have so many witnesses. I have one of them in this room right now. He's a witness that I never said it. Nobody would say that. And I went to one the following day in a big cemetery. But they said I said about soldiers, I think it was World War I soldiers, they're suckers and losers, and they're in graves. Think of it. They gave their life for our country. This was in Paris. It was an American cemetery, and they said that, and this was somebody that actually, he didn't say, they made it up with a magazine. You know, they make things up. They don't even have sources. They make things up out of thin blue like a storyteller. And I wanted you to ask me this question because I think it's a terrible, terrible thing. But they make up stories. And then one guy who's a very, sort of a low-life guy, he is a low-life, they got one confirmation, and 26 people said it never happened. But the one confirmation was a guy that I fired, a terrible, stupid person, actually, that couldn't do the job well. And I fired him. And he sort of confirmed it. I don't know how he confirmed it, but he did. And it's a totally false story. Nobody would say that. And I would say this to military people. I'm the president of the United States. I say suckers and losers. They gave their life. And it's just a disgraceful story, Shawn. And all I do is deny it. We have so many witnesses. And I said, you know, that's one of those questions where no matter how you answer it, you lose. Do you understand that?
I do.
I can sit here and talk about it for another 20 minutes, and at the end, people would say, even if they have a doubt, you've lost. Just a little doubt. They only need a 2% doubt. And I would think that if people heard that, I think if I heard that, maybe I'd believe it if I was in the military. You know, what do they know? They're sitting there and they heard the story. Put out by this real rag that's failing badly, losing a lot of money. And, you know, it's interesting. I was doing a rally, and I was walking past press, and some guy shouted to me, I think from that magazine, is it true you called them suckers and losers? Who? They said, military in the graves. I said, now that's a loser. Because as soon as I heard it, I said that you can't respond to it. Because no matter how vigorously you deny it, people, they have an expression for it. I won't use the expression, but it's a bad expression. It's when they ask you a question that no matter how you answer it, it leaves a telltale stain. And it's a shame that they can get away with it. And we have libel laws now where you can do anything. You can sue. You can spend $25 million suing people, and they laugh at you. It's a disgrace. Shouldn't be allowed, but it is allowed.
Since we're on a long-form podcast and we're not going to take anything out of context here, is there anything that you would like the veteran population to know about what you think of them?
That I love them, that I respect them, that I rebuilt our military, that I got budgets that nobody's ever gotten, that I increased their pay because of the respect I have. Now, if you take a look at what's happening with the military, it's horrible. Under Biden / this woman is she's a communist, I guess. I mean, and I look at action, I don't look at words. Defund the police. She was the head of defund the police. Now all of a sudden she wants to, deny it. She was on the border. She was the border czar, and millions of people poured into our country, and they're from prisons and they're from jails. They're from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're all different. It's like that's the mental institution on steroids, as you know, and they're terrorists. And they're from jails, though, in many countries. Recently, they came in from the Congo in Africa. Where do you come from? I think 22 people, but many more than that. They're emptying their jails into our country. They say, where do you come from? The Congo. Where in the Congo? Jail. What did you do? They wouldn't answer. We have the toughest people in the world being dropped into our country, and not from just South America. From South America, yes. Venezuela, their crime rate's down 72%. Their prison population is way down. Their mental institution population is way down. And this is true with many countries.
And that's because they're all
using
coming
us as a dumping ground. They're dumping their prisoners. They're dumping their gang members, MS-13. They're dumping everybody into our country. We have a totally open border. And she's a Marxist. She's really a Marxist. Her father is a Marxist professor. This woman ran against, I guess, about 22 Democrats. She was the first to leave the race. She left the race before she even got to Iowa, the first primary state, as you know. And a lot of people followed. And Biden, which is shocking because he's terrible, and terrible for the military, by the way, but he's the worst president in the history of our country, in my opinion. And yet what happened to him shouldn't happen. He got 14 million votes. She got no votes. It was a coup. It was an overthrow of a president. There's never been anything like that. That doesn't mean he's good or he's competent, but he did win. And then they said, we don't want you. We had a debate. And after the debate, he was 17 points down in polls. And they went to him and they said, you're not going to win. You can't win. And we want to get somebody else. And he didn't want to go, and he fought it. And then they said, I think they were going to pull out the 25th Amendment, which is mental acuity or something. And he said, I'll go. Now they're trying to act like it was friendly. It wasn't friendly. He's a bitter man right now. And he should be. What happened to him, you go through primaries, you win. I mean, he won against 22 people. Now, I think he got very lucky. Things happened. I understand exactly what happened, but he got lucky, but it doesn't matter. He won, getting 14, think of it. He got 14 million votes. She got none. She never made it to the first contest, which is Iowa. And now she's running. Okay, now I'm not complaining because she should be easy to beat. This country is not ready for a Marxist or a communist. This country is not ready for somebody that wants to defund the police, that said there will never be fracking in our country. If we don't frack, if we don't drill for oil and gas, we won't have a country, because that's where the power comes from. That's, we can talk about all sorts of things, but that's the power. That powers up our plants.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.